I feel like I'm giving 50s housewife vibes today. We're just gonna roll with it, okay? Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited that you joined me today. Hi guys, how are you doing? How's everybody doing? How is your June and the beginning of your July been going? I hope that you've been having such a good summer so far, and I hope everything is good on your end. Everything is good on my end. Let's talk about some books. Let's talk about the 9 books that I read in the month of June. Guys, if I'm being honest, June was not that good of a reading month for me. I had a lot of duds in June, and I had so many books disappoint me in June, so let's just get on into it. So by now, hopefully you guys know the drill. I'm going to be starting with my lowest rated books and go all the way up to my highest rated books, so it keeps you on your toes. I did not have any DNFs for the month, and I did not have any 1 stars, but I did have 1 2-star, and it kind of disappointed me. Yes, it is none other than The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This was such a letdown, guys, because I know so many people love and adore this series and love and adore these characters, and I feel like I almost have like a sliver of potential to also love it too, but this book and this writing just did not jive with me for some reason. I did not understand a lot of what he was trying to do. I just feel like Richard Osman was trying to do too much in this book, and I was just trying to hold on for dear life while he was taking us through everything he was trying to do. This was actually my book club book for the month for Comfy Cozy. If you don't know, I run a bi-monthly book club called Comfy Cozy. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and check it out down below. We have a lot of fun over there, even when we read bad books. This is no harm to anybody who loves this series. I know a lot of you absolutely adore this one, but it just wasn't for me, and I feel like it wasn't for a lot of us that read it. Basically, this one is following 4 elderly people, and they try and solve a couple of murders that happen. It's just very convoluted. There's a lot going on. You do learn to fall in love with certain characters, and Richard Osman does have funny banter, and he is humorous, and you can kind of see that weaved into his story, but overall, it just didn't work out for me. And the hits just kept coming, guys, because here is yet another disappointment. Going into my 2.5 stars. Oh, this hurts. This Woven Kingdom by Tara Mafi. Guys, if you've been around for any amount of time, then you know that my all-time favorite book series ever is the Shatter Me series by Tara Mafi, and I just knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was going to go into this series and absolutely adore it. I just didn't. I was so bored. And this book was 8 million pages long for no reason at all. And another gripe that I have about this specific book, I cannot remember for the life of me if this is marketed as a romance, but if it is, you're getting robbed. The only time that we ever see these two together is like for 3 or 4 pages at a time, and then they go their separate ways. So I would say like 75% of this book is their stories individually. I'm sorry, but if I go into a Tara Mafi book, I expect that level of romance, and I just didn't get it with this one. Basically, this is about our main female character who is a lowly servant, and she comes into terms with the crown prince, and they're supposed to fall in love. And yes, I will say the 2.5 came from the times that we did get them together, because their banter was pretty good. I mean, it's Tara Mafi. It did not work out for me. We did not have a single 3-star. I feel like that's pretty good. In more realistic terms, this is probably a 3-star, but I was very generous and gave it a 3.5 stars. And yet another really disappointing book, Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Yet another series that everyone loves and has raved about. And when I was showing everybody that I was picking up this book, I feel like everybody was convinced that I was going to fully love this book, and so was I. I tend to do that a lot. I go into books fully expecting to love them, and I always get my heart broken. And that's what happened with this one. This was not a bad book. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. There was nothing in this book where I felt bored. I didn't feel like it wasn't going anywhere. Like the story is interesting. Obviously, we're following our main character who's stalking Jack the Ripper. Okay, that speaks for itself. And that in itself is a really fascinating, fun story. The full reason why I gave this book 3.5 stars is my experience reading it. I have read many books in my lifetime. Okay, I've read horror, I've read slashers, I've read thrillers, I've read graphic thrillers, I've read a lot of things. And I love true crime and I love documentaries and things like that. So my stomach is not super weak when it comes to things like that. When I tell you that I can count on one hand the amount of books that have made me nauseous, and this one's on there. This book made me physically ill to my stomach. Like it literally curled my stomach in a way that a book has not in a very long time. And I don't know if it was just the descriptions or just how the things were playing out. I don't know. All I know was that it was not pleasant for me to read this book. It just really wasn't. And I will say I'm glad that I did push through because I did like the overall twist to this story. But sadly, I don't know if I'm going to be continuing the series, which is so sad for me to say because these books are stunning. I'm glad I read it, but it just wasn't pleasant while I was reading it. Another 3.5 star that I had was also one that I'm kind of disappointed in, and that is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is actually my first Carly Fortune, and I read this for my friend Gwen's Patreon book club, and I was a part of the discussion. And I went into this one also with high hopes because everyone raves about Carly Fortune and her romances. And again, this was my first one. I didn't really know what to expect going in. And I will say, as far as her writing goes, 10 out of 10. Her writing is so good and so atmospheric, and I really loved her descriptions. However, this romance was just not for me. I feel like, especially the male main character, he felt very young to me. He just felt like this very carefree, like not settling down anytime soon kind of guy. And she was definitely not like that, and she was not looking for that. And I just felt it took like 90% of the book for this guy to get serious about anything, and I didn't love that. There was also a really big theme of friends with benefits in here, and that is just not my vibe at all. So this was just not a book for Hannah, but I'm so glad that so many other people loved it. I am obviously still going to continue to read Carly Fortune. Like I said, I really loved her writing. I just didn't love this specific romance. And that leads us on into our 4-star reads. So let's go ahead and talk about a cozy mystery that kind of shocked me. Was Egg Drop Dead by Vivian Chin. And we have been reading in my book club this cozy mystery series throughout this year. If I'm being quite honest, they're kind of mid, at least for me and a couple of us that are reading it. They're just not standing out. They're just kind of middle of the road. And they're a good fun time for what they are, but they're just average. This one took me by surprise, guys. I was really shook. I was clutching my pearls, okay? Because I was actually fully invested into this story, and it almost at times felt like a thriller to me. And I know that's crazy. I know that's so crazy for me to say, but especially towards the end, it felt like a thriller, and I was so excited to figure out who did it, and I just really liked it. I think this is probably my favorite in the series. And then the long-awaited review of the new Riley Sager book, because I know a lot of you wait for my reviews on the new Riley Sager book because you know that I love him so much. And let me just tell you a quick little story before I go into my review. So my friends and I met up that weekend and we went and saw him for this release. And this is actually my second time seeing Riley Sager, and he didn't have a signing line, but he did have a photo line. So when we finally got up to him, I said, "This is actually the second time that I'm seeing you. The first time I drove 8 hours." And he said, "Girl, I hope that the drive this time was a little easier." And I said, "Yeah, it was like 3 hours this time." And like the look on his face, he just kind of looked at me and then he said, "Can I give you a hug?" Your girl got to hug Riley Sager, okay? Not many people can say that. but I got a hug from Riley Sager, so technically we're best friends now. Anywho, let's talk about his new release, With a Vengeance. And I did end up giving this a solid 4 stars. And let's talk about Riley Sager for a minute, because I know a lot of people are sensing the shift in which he's writing, because I feel like his latest books are not up to a certain standard that his other ones were. The only one left is personally my favorite, with the outrageous amount of crazy twist in that one. And for the past couple of books, you're just not getting that. And I feel like it's throwing a lot of us off, including myself, because let's talk about this one. This one is very much reminiscent of The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. He states that very clearly, that he took a lot of inspiration from that book to write this one. So basically you're following our main character, Anna, who is seeking revenge on this group of people that had a hand in her family's destruction. And so you're basically just following the entire ride with this group of people and Anna. That there were lots of moments where I was really excited that I could tell that Riley Sager wrote this book, but go into this book knowing that it is a slower paced thriller mystery. It is definitely more on the mystery side than I would say most of his thrillers are, just because it is very reminiscent of that Agatha Christie feel. The reason that I gave it a 4 over a 5 is that the twists were good, but they weren't crazy, you know? Because I feel like when I go into a Riley Sager book, I really want a crazy twist, and these were good, but they didn't shock me. So that's the reason I gave it a 4. Just go in it with leveled expectations. And my last 4-star is In This Moment by Gabrielle Meyer. This is book number 2 of the Timeless series, which, yes, spoiler alert, I did read the first 2 books in the Timeless series this month, and I'm really loving it. A lot of people have recommended this series to me, and I thank you to each one of you who have, because I'm actually really loving it. So if you don't know what the Timeless series is about, basically you're following different characters who are able to time cross. And this specific character was able to time cross into 3 different times. So they're simultaneously living in 3 different timelines. They're the same person, but they're living in 3 different times, if that makes any sense. And throughout those different times, you get to see different historical events that actually really happened, and even get to see people that really lived along the way, which I think is so fun, and I really liked that aspect to them. However, please be cautioned that these are not happy-go-lucky, fluffy books. They definitely have their rough edges to them, and it is really hard to read them at some parts, so just kind of be aware of that. These are beautiful stories with faith elements weaved throughout them. This one wasn't my favorite, just because there was 3 timelines in this one, which I found was kind of hard to keep up with at times, but I still cried at the end. And I think that this is a really solid story still, but I think that I'm going to enjoy the rest of the books more than this one. It was a really solid read, but just not my favorite. Let's talk about my last 2 books that I read, and we're going to go into my 4.5s. And I had one of those, and that is The Hunmooders by Christina Lauren. Guys, okay, if you want me to be honest, I picked this up after I read Stalking Jack the Ripper because I needed something like this. I needed something cute, fast, fun, mindless fun. And I went into this one completely blind. I loved it so much. And I don't know why I'm shocked, because I feel like Christina Lauren is one of those authors that I'm just gonna keep loving their books. Oh my gosh, this was so cute. You're basically following our main characters who their siblings are getting married to each other, and everybody at the wedding gets food poisoning, except for them. And so obviously the bride and groom are not able to attend their honeymoon, and so they send our 2 main characters on the honeymoon. Guys, the ultimate summer vibes in this one, just so darn cute. The banter, the humor, and I will tell you that this book is going to make you frustrated, it's going to make you mad, it's going to make you feel all the things, but just go with it because it's so fun, it's so cute, and if you're looking for a good solid summer read, highly recommend this one. And I will say that there were a couple of open door scenes, mild language, and a lot of talk throughout, so just kind of do with that what you will. Let's talk about my only 5-star for the month. I only had 1 5-star for the month, guys. That's insane. But my 1 5-star of the month is When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer. And yes, this is book number 1 of the Timeless series. I did not think that this was going to be a 5-star until about 75% of the way through. There are a lot of elements to this specific one that were really hard to read. And if you have any questions about that, I will gladly answer that. Just message me on any social media platform. I will go into that, or just do your own research about it. But there was definitely parts of this that were really sad and really hard for me to read. So this one is following our main character, Libby, who is a time crosser of 2 different timelines. And she is in 1774 colonial Williamsburg and 1914 New York. And a lot of things intel from that, as you can probably imagine. This book was a roller coaster the entire time I was reading it. I did not know how this series was going to play out, and I didn't know how this book was going to play out until the very end. I finished this book on a trip, and we were in the car, and I had my husband stop the car, and I just sobbed. I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And he honestly thought that there was something truly wrong with me. This one means so much to me because it came in such a perfect time of my life, because Libby is constantly questioning God and trying to understand the place that God is putting her in her life and trying to figure out where to navigate that. It's kind of like he's watching me or something, you know? It's kind of like he knows everything that's going on in my life. I loved this book. I loved this book so much. I dare say, would this be my favorite in the series? This one's really going to be hard to top. And there you have it, my friends. Those were the 9 books that I read in the month of June. Please let me know down below your favorite read of June, and have you read any of these books that I talked about today? And if you have, let me know how you liked them. And if you made it this far into the video, please leave me a clock emoji to represent the Timeless series, to represent my favorite book of the month. And until next time, my friends, remember, this world is a better place with you in it, and I love you so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys!